All the essentials. Somebody approached a saint and asked him, so at what age should I start teaching this child all the values of life? The sage said, asked that person, how old is this child? The parent said, well, the child is just born. So the sage said, well, you're already 9 months late. As a matter of fact, it even goes beyond that as well, according to the scriptures. And it is so true that whatever you want to see in your child, you should make sure that you imbibe those things in your own life. This is absolutely important. Because there's a general rule about this universe, about human beings and all species. The chip doesn't fall too far from the block. And if I want my child to be something other than I am, that is foolhardy. It is wishful thinking. We have to be what we want to see in our children. So this is very important for parents to be. Who are already parents, well, you are in some trouble. But for those who are parents to be, suppose you want your child to be an avid reader. You cannot have contempt for books and then you want your child to be an avid reader. It will not happen. And you see, another thing, this equation becomes a little bit more complex because sometimes the mother is an avid reader and the father is not, and that child takes on the father's side. You see? So together, see, the parenting thing is a cooperative effort. Together they should decide, okay, we want this child to be like this or like this. And if the father is not an avid reader, and they want the child to be an avid reader, but the father better start reading quickly. The idea is, the jiva who is going to come into your house as a child, Remember that Jiva is already somewhere there in the universe. Huh? That Jiva is not born at that time. The Jiva is already existing somewhere in the universe, and from there the Jiva will come into your house. So the Jiva will be anywhere. In Taiwan or Hong Kong or in China. Most probably in China, because everything is coming from China now. So the Jiva will already be there. You, by your actions, by your state of mind, by your likes and dislikes, you are going to pull a Jiva from wherever with the same sort of constitution. That is the idea. And the number of Jivas in the universe, they are infinite. Infinite number, there is no end. So you're just going to pull a Jiva based on your own sanskar, likes, dislikes and all that kind of thing, right? So this is for parents the people who are still to be parents. Now, for those who have conceived, a very important thing, that teaching should start immediately. If you see the Ramayana, you will see that when the 3 wives of Dasharatha conceived, and during that 9 months, they spent all their time in pilgrimage, in satsang, in meeting saints and sadhus, and in reading scriptures. Tulsidas doesn't touch on it, because he just goes over. But you see Valmiki Ramayana, see so many of the other Ramayans. They give that detail also. So in those 9 months, it's critical. There should be so much of support from the father, the husband, to the wife. Because the wife has to keep that time or that saintly disposition in the mind. Not only that, during those 9 months is when you should engage in so much of tapas, vrata, taking vow. They say, no, you have to go. And you see, modern teachings and ancient teaching, they are different things. Huh? In modern teaching, you are supposed to go on, eating this much food and gaining this much weight by 6 months or 7 months or whatever, all these things they go and tell. Let me ask you. See, most of the people who are sitting here were born in India. Na? Your mother used to do that. Only by this month you gain this weight and this month and all that, no, that kind of thing. But you are fine or not? You are fine now. All modern medicine and all this modern thing that they teach you, it will confuse you like anything. And every 2-3 years they change their story. They tell you like you should do like this, and then somebody comes, no, research is showing otherwise now. The idea is, keep a healthy mind, just be normal. And the most important is keeping a healthy mind. So all emotions and all that kind of thing at that time, therefore the husband should support the wife at all times. Anyway, so during those 9 months is very critical that whatever is in those 9 months practiced, that will surely come. You see, Mahatma Gandhi, see, great Mahatma who moved so many generations and who is known today. See, if anybody think of India today in the West, first name that comes is Gandhi. How he moved the world. Mahatma Gandhi had a son. That boy was so rowdy, so rebellious, so everything, living totally opposite to what the Mahatma lived. As a matter of fact, he would even sell out to the other side and all sorts of things. And somebody once asked Gandhiji, how come, the same question, a father like that, obviously the chip doesn't fall too far from the block. We just said that, how that thing doesn't hold then. You are fighting for freedom of India, such a noble cause, and look at this boy. So Gandhiji gave, and this is the exact answer that the scriptures have also. What is that? The child takes the disposition of the parents at the time of birth. Gandhiji immediately went back and said, at the time when that child was born, I was not Mahatma Gandhi. So whatever he was at that time, This happens so often. So many parents come to see us, Swamis and Acharyas and all, and they ask this question, but Swamiji, I'm never doing any of these type of things. But look at this child. I'm not like this, but look at this child. But you don't have to think what you are now, 15 years or 18 years later. You have to think about what you were when. You see, the child gets all the sanskars at that time. That is why it is important. So this type of lecture should be listened before being parents. Now, so this is about those 9 months now. After the child is born, all the values have to be taught to them constantly again. And let me tell you something, really speaking, in true terms, you only have until about 10 or 12 years after that. All their sanskars and all impressions and everything will be formed prior to puberty. After that, if you have any time with them and they're still listening to you, count yourself blessed. You have, and one more thing added to this. If until, from conception until about 10 or 12, if you were doing your job properly, you don't have to worry thereafter. Everybody, all children, slowly thereafter, they will drift away, and because they become rebellious, they start going into adulthood, they start forming their own opinions, they start, like having their own likes and dislikes, and they voice their opinions and everything strongly after that, right? They start doing it. They want to, form their own individual personality and all that sort of thing. That is okay. Then society also comes in, they start looking out more, they see this going on there, that going on there. And that time you try to keep them in line as much as possible. But if you had done your job well in the first 9 months plus 10, 12 years, then even though they may drift, they may go away, they may seem to, move away a little bit, eventually they will come back because you have put the right sanskar inside. And I guarantee that when they get married and they have children, they come right back. Just like all of you. Right? You may drift, but when you get married and have your own children, and that is because of another very important thing in this thing called parenting. And this is the most important thing now, the crux of the matter insofar as you are concerned. Parenting is not something you do out of fear, something you do out of or with the intention of gaining something in society. Parenting, please remember this thing from today, parenting is a sadhana. To bring up your children and to give this world a boon through those children. That is a sadhana. Now let me tell you what a sadhana means. All human beings have this, and Bhagavan Shri Krishna talks about this very, very elaborately in the Bhagavad Gita. What is this problem? This is called the problem of me and mine. Tulsidaji said, in Ramayana, when he was asked, what is this Maya? Bhagavan Shri Ram was asked, what is this Maya? In Tulsi Ramayana. So from the pen of Tulsidas, it came out. Maya is me and mine, you and yours. Main rumor tor te Maya. Jehi basakin he, jeevani khaya. So this feeling of me and mine, you and yours, this is called as Maya. So, sadhana is to get rid of this me and mine. And when Bhagavan really wants to delude human beings and give them this strong feeling of me and mine, he gives them children. Because we will have strong feeling of me and mine with regard to so many things, right? This is my car, my house, my money, my point of view. My point of view is very difficult also. That is, other things may go, but this my point of view always remains. This is my suggestion, this is my likes and dislikes, and my. And it we make it take precedence over other people's likes and dislikes and all that kind of thing. So anyway, with regard to children, we have the strongest my. That is my child. Now, if that feeling, not if that feeling is there, it is that feeling which causes all the problems in parenting. That this is my child. Wherever my comes in there, that causes the person to lose objectivity. And when the person loses objectivity, all their decisions will always be biased. So, first of all, we have to understand that the child is not your child. I just told you, the child came from China. Shankaracharya describes your meeting with that child in the vast, limitless expanse of time. Because time is beginningless and also endless. We are but a passing moment in the history of time, and we meet that child for that passing moment. Our moment with the other human being which we are living with, or the other human beings, our moment with them doesn't even feature in a graph of time. How many times you have flown in planes, nah? Do you remember the person you were sitting next to? I don't remember who I was sitting next to. You met in that seat for a little while and then we don't, and that is exactly what you will do with your husband, your wife, your children, mother, father, everybody in this vast expanse of time. We meet for a brief moment. One life before you did not know that person. And just the next life, you will not know. And this life, even though we say it may be 70 or 80 or 90 years, it seems long. But I'm telling, in this expanse of time, it is no time. It is zero time, doesn't even fit here. So now, that jiva is an independent jiva wherever they are coming from. You have the charge of that jiva for this 70, 80 years, whatever, right? Not that much, because you will be gone and the child will still be there. So, in that period when you are there with that child, you are supposed to consider this now as your sadhana. Sadhana is done to remove my ego, me and mine, so that I will realize God. So the parenting is not anything else but sadhana. And what is the meaning of sadhana? It means I take care of the human being who has come into my house as my contribution to Bhagwan and his society. This world is created by the Lord, and this is the Lord's world. And I want to give to this world a boon through this child and not a burden. See, what happens if you give a burden to this society through my child? The child is always breaking the law. So the police has to come now. The whole society has to bear the brunt of this burden, isn't it? Because I gave a burden to the world. So the sadhana is to give to the world a boon. And in giving Bhagwan something good like this, that's actually called karma yoga. We do and we offer it to the Lord. So that requires that from prior to the birth itself, I go on teaching the child properly, and I prepare this individual to become a positive contributor to society. That is my job. And if I do this sadhana well, then I will get the good results of that thing. About owning this person, please don't ever think. You cannot own any other human being. When a human being comes into your house, think, oh, the Lord has sent this. Let me delve into that a little bit. This is a very important thing for you to understand this. See, wherever the jiva comes from, you don't know. People say, Swamiji, no, but you know, that human being came from my body. We are the parents, we gave birth to that human being. First of all, if Bhagwan wanted that human being to come into the world and you were not present, you think he will not find some other parents to bring the child? he'll bring the child. He has so many countless options. You are not the only option. So he just used you as a medium to bring that individual into the world. That is all. And then people say, no, but I made some contribution and I gave the body. See, I'm the biological parent. People say, look here. Think about how the child was formed. No? The child was formed by meeting our two cells. Huh? So those cells you made, you know how to make cells? You don't know. And it is Bhagavan who determines everything. We don't determine anything. See, when parents conceive, can you determine whether the child will be male or female? Forget that. Can you determine whether you will conceive or not? There are so many parents who want to have children and they cannot have children, isn't it? So you cannot even determine whether you will conceive or not. Second thing is, many mothers conceive, don't even know. They have to go and find out. You see, the Lord's hands are at work there. That we don't know whether we'll conceive or not, we don't know. After we've conceived, we still don't know. Whether the child will be male or female, we don't know. It's not in our hands. Whether the child will be born whole or infirm, we don't know. The Lord will determine that. Whether the child will take on the mother's side or father's side, we don't know. What color the child will be, fair or dark. So what we know? What do we determine? It is said that we also claim that we determine, okay, now we decided that we'll have a child in our house. At least that we determine. I'll not go into it, but scriptures tell that also is all determined by Bhagavan. So, after that we don't know whether the child will come in 7 months, 9 months, 8 months, what will come. When the child is born also, we don't know the child will be born alive or not alive. And then what this child will grow up to be, engineer, doctor, what? We don't know. He may be anything. That jiva really comes with his own prarabdha, his own karma, his own whatever, and he will live according to that. You know, in this country, 35% of people in America study and get a degree in one field and work in another field. They never work in the field related to their degree. There is statistics in America. 35%. I mean, so you may say, okay, I am doctor, my wife is doctor. The child will certainly be a doctor. We say, that is not true. You may force him to be a doctor, but really his prarabdha, he will be one of the 35%. If his prarabdha means he's supposed to be doing something else. So anyway, now this idea of the child is mine, this thing should be removed from our mind. Understand that this child is an individual unto himself, and all of us belong to God, not to each other. When that strong feeling of minus comes in there, this is my child. The danger with that thing is this. Now, this is a real terrible danger. See this, The danger with feeling that the child is mine is this. First of all, parents want to live, after they see the child is theirs, they want to live their dreams through that child. So, I want to see, I'll be so proud. Oh, my child will come out like this, or my child will turn out to be like that, and I could not do this, therefore my child will have the opportunity to do it. And they try everything, because it's all my child. They live their dreams through their children. And not only that, the type of complex society and crazy society that we live in, and our friends circle and our acquaintances and all, these all things in subtle ways put pressure on us, and that wanting to live my dreams through my child is taken to even one step further. Parents now get into a great big rigmarole of trying to gain social mileage through their children. These are the dangers that arise when I think that the child is mine. So what happens there, and this sadhana is totally lost in this. Why? Because even parenting now becomes something for my own self-aggrandizement, for my own self, showing off. Then is not sadhana, is not parenting. That is just again establishing your achievements and accomplishments through your children. So in this matter, sadhana and parenting, which I said is one and same. Sadhana or parenting requires that you always think about the welfare of the child. Gurudev used to say, the child comes with his own sanskar, own likes, dislikes, prarabdha, everything. And what you do, it is your duty as a parent, provide food, clothing, shelter, education, both spiritual and secular education to the child, but let the child grow into what he was meant to grow. We have a hibiscus plant and a rose plant. 2 plants in 2 pots. Somebody gave you for your birthday 2 plants. But you don't like hibiscus. You only like rose. You keep the 2 plants in front and you give them water and fertilizer and sunlight and whatever they need, for their growth. But because you like a rose, you cannot insist that the hibiscus plant should give roses. The plants will give what they were meant to give. You can only give certain things. We can give food, clothing, shelter, education, all such things to the children, but the children will grow up to be what they were meant to be. In whichever way they were able to serve, society, they will do that only. So, pay close attention to this. All the problems at this stage arise because of me and this is my child, and I will live my dreams through this child because it is my child. Think about the welfare only of the child. Now, that is about the general idea of children and mamatvam. Because of the mamatvam, minus with regard to children, the person goes on trying to establish himself in the world through his children. The other problem with this is the parent then, thereafter, never become objective in their dealings with children. You never become objective and for a moment think from the child's side. Because I have a program in my head already. I have an agenda in my head. A program agenda, it should go like this. And the program or the agenda which I have in my head will certainly clash with reality. And one of the greatest things in this reality is what? The culture which you share and the culture in which the child is being brought up. You will share certain cultural values. You adhere to certain cultural values because you were born in a different place at a different time. Right? The child is being... See, all our parents come from other places and their children is born in this country. And then they think, oh, Swamiji, what to do? Now these children are picking up all the other things from this society. It's very tough. One of the greatest things, for example, is Indian children being born in this country, and in Indian culture there is no such thing as dating, and in this culture they have something called as dating. One of the biggest clash of cultures. So what do? I say, look here. In our common Caribbean language we say, in the old days they used to cook on a chulha, fireside, fire stove, wood stove. So they used to say, you cannot expect to cook on a wood stove and not get soot on your clothes. Because that pot becomes black with that soot. So you cannot expect to cook on that wood stove without getting soot on your clothes, that black soot. You will get. I mean, if you are in that kitchen doing that kind of activity, you will certainly get. It means, if your children are born in this society, you came here for a certain thing in this society. But please remember, roses come with thorns. You cannot have roses without thorns. If you came for a certain thing in this society, you cannot expect to come into the society and only get that thing, because it comes along with other things. And one of the most compelling thing or strongest thing that it will come with, see, you came here for better living, you say, right? You came here to get a better living. You cannot come here and expect to get a better living without taking the culture. And you may not be able to, you may be able to resist most of it, but your children are born here. So, they will, and as a matter of fact, wherever you are born, you quickly soak in the culture of that place. So how important it is that in those initial years, you give the right universal values, and so many cultural values they will pick up here whether you like it or not. So there you give the right universal values. See, universal values of sincerity, for instance. In this country, there is so much of corruption. In your country where you come from, there is so, well, I can safely say in your country also there is corruption, because everywhere there is corruption. So the universal value to rid ourselves of this corruption is to learn to be sincere and to deal fairly with the world. So that you teach. And the other cultural values, see, there are two types of values here. One is called as universal values, which are valued by all societies. Sincerity, compassion, love, caring for others. All societies value this. So we teach those universal values. About the cultural values, you will have to now negotiate with your children as individuals. Regarding cultural values, you have to ask the children, talk with them, befriend them, and negotiate with them. That thing should not be forced on them. And the more you try to force cultural values on them, the more they will resist. So universal values you teach in the early years, the cultural values you try to explain. For example, one of the values we have in our culture is celibacy until marriage. It's one of our values. But that is not there in this culture. Right? So that type of thing, you will have to befriend your children. Speak with them on a one-to-one like friends. And you try to get them to follow. And you have to be equipped with all the pros and cons with regard to that matter. But that is not a universal value. With regard to that matter, you have to equip yourself. Now, befriend your children and keep close to them, talking to them, showing them the benefit of this thing. How many benefits. The more points you can collect as parents and keep it in your armory, the more you will be able to convince them. And you cannot convince them by pushing it on them. You convince them by befriending them. So any cultural value which you want to teach, so how important this is now. The two things, universal spiritual values, you teach them in those early years. That will never go away. That will always be in them. The cultural values which you want them to share with you, that you can only impart to them by befriending them. That is how, that is in first place, that is how they pick it up. They pick it up from friends, nah? They pick it up from the society in which they live. So if you don't befriend them, you will not have a contribution in the values, the cultural values which they pick up. So we keep on talking to them. I know you also come from different types of cultures where between parents and children there are great distances. You may come from cultures like that. Parents do not talk certain things with their children. But please remember, you are not living in those societies. You are living in this society now. And it is essential that you start doing that. You develop a closeness and a friendship with children. And here they gain their own individuality and their own ideas and points of views very fast. It comes so quickly. So start developing a rapport with children as friends if you want to give them your cultural values. Nothing is wrong with you giving your cultural values as well. Huh? There's no problem. But the way it is done, it should not be pushed down their throat. Gurudev used to say, you don't trust it on them, you entrust it to them. But you can entrust only when you become friends with them. So, cultural values are to be taught then through befriending them. If you don't, well, you will lose them. You will push them away. By pushing anything on them, you push them away, really. Alright, so I have touched on the most important elements of this whole parenting thing. The whole thing hinges on that feeling of minus with regard to children. From today's start, please remember, you have no claim over that child in any way. You're just been given an opportunity by Bhagwan. The child has come into your house, and without you, you could have very well found somebody else to give that child. You've been given this opportunity, use it as sadhana. In this whole thing, when you start seeing the child as an individual unto himself, and I'm just there given the opportunity, your minus will go away. Because the strongest minus we have is with regard to children. Your minus will go away. You will become a better sadhak, you will become closer to God. And the child also will not have all this resistance and all such hatred for parents and this and all that kind of thing. Wherever there is strong, this is a direct relationship now. Wherever there is strong minus with regard to the child, there is also strong sorrow. All the sorrows come right there. And there are some magical things in the world. The more you let go, the more they come back. You have to have faith in it. The more you let go, the more they come back. And that is our providing that you gave in this initial years. Initial years critical. Now, if you do not give anything in those critical years, you have an uphill battle. People say, Swamiji, you are a Swamiji. What do you know about children? What do you know about family life? Well, I tell you, your circle of friends is how much? Your circle of friends will be a few people who you know, right? And if there is any problem that arises, you will know the problem. Perhaps they will tell you their problems. So you know the problems of that little group. And you know your own personal problem. But we are the ones who go from place to place, and then all the problems come to us only. And our circle of friends is not just this small little circle. We go city to city, country to country, culture to culture. Second thing is, you always your problems are always seen only from your side. It's very difficult for human beings to see from the other sides. But Swamis are like umpires in the cricket match, you know. How in the cricket match, when the bowler bowls and it hits the batsman in the pads, that bowler appeals to the umpire. So the bowler always thinks the man is out. And the batsman, no, I was outside the wicket. He thinks he is not out. And the bowler thinks he is out. Now if they had to decide by themselves, the cricket match over. Isn't it? But the umpire says out or not out. He's objective. He's not on this side or this side. But the mamatvam in parenting, minus in parenting, immediately makes all parent bias one-sided and all that sort of thing. This is where the problem lies. That we have to get rid of. So those who stand objectively, they are able to see best. Now I know it is a tough job because, and please remember, our Guruji also makes this very clear. It all hinges on this strong mindness. You know how? How you prove that? I'll show you. If your child fails the exam, your child comes home and shows, oh, I failed. Oh, how that affects you, na? Right next door, the neighbor's child is in your same class. He fails. Take care, let him fail. Huh? You see how immediately you know that it is because of mine. Because my child failed, I am so devastated. So what drastic thing I did wrong? And how it is going to reflect on me? Suppose everybody in Chinmaya Mission find out that my child failed. So again, that is all rooted in this, social mileage, and it reflects on my image and all that kind of thing. No? All because of mine. And the next fellow, as a matter of fact, good, he failed. Naughty fellow. So immediately you can see, it is easily proved that the whole problem arises because of, now in that suppose the child fails. Because of the minus is, and ego is one on, say, because the ego is somehow punctured there, the ego is hurt, all objectivity goes. Any decision that ensues from such a parent now, that decision will be biased, it will always be causing more problems than solving problems. Yeah. So now, instead of sitting calmly and, oh, what happened? Something somewhere went wrong. Let me calmly try to figure out it. Immediately, see, I told you, look, you failed. I told you all of these computer games, all this television you're looking, you're only hanging out in the mall, you're doing this, and we start one whole long the kahani, then that child also doesn't want to listen to any of this, isn't it? Same thing I was telling you, how many times I warned you, look how your sister is doing well. When we compare the child to the other, so all these things come because, right, that same point something went wrong. So if we just center on that mamatam and try to remove it, be calm, cool there, now see. Ask, when the neighbor's child failed, I did not mind. I commended him also. My child failed. So it is all because of his mind. Now, better thing, let me sit with a calm head and figure out what has to be done so that I give to society an educated child. What adjustments to make where? And do it with a calm head. And explain to the child also. Be nice to him. Now that is not so easy because I myself haven't removed all of those things which cause me to tip on the other side, on the negative side. I have to go on removing. So there it becomes a sadhana. Look in your own self and see, look, I started shouting at the child. Now that is not a good tendency. So I have to remove that tendency from me. So use the whole parenting opportunity for sadhana like that. When I remove the negative traits from myself, it becomes sadhana. Na? And you gotten that opportunity. As a matter of fact, that is where householder's life actually has advantages over this type of life. You have the advantage. I do not know whether I have removed those things from my personality because I did not have a children where I had minus. But you know very clearly whether you have removed those negative things from your personality. Because you have a child where you have strong minus also. Great opportunity householder's life has. Alright, now time only now we have 5 minutes to answer questions if there are any questions. Okay, I think this is all we'll have time for. We really will not be able to. We just have to rush through. How to show appreciation when kids perform well without inflating their ego. When we pat them on their backs, we know when we know pat on their backs is a must. Very good. Okay. So I dealt with this during this Ramayana discourse in this week. I had also mentioned it is very important. It is true that children need to be inspired. They need to be appreciated and all of that thing, right? That is what you encounter in this society. So I gave a very small hint. The way things are structured in this society is, it is done mostly resulting in the inflation of the ego of the child. So what we do in that, interject a very small dose of a very important thing. And what is that? That is, from the very, very early age, let the child know that his success, his achievement, his accomplishment was due to the grace and love and kindness of Bhagwan. From the very early age. When a child comes home, let us say, Mom, look, I drew an apple. Means he's able to draw an apple all by himself. Look, I drew an apple all by myself. You say, oh, beta, that is so good. But do you know, it's Bhagwan who made your hand so steady, Bhagwan who made your hand so artistic that you were able to take that pen, a pencil, and draw this apple. If Bhagwan had not made your hand so steady and so artistic, you would not have been able to draw that. So at the same time, while he is being given appreciation, he has an appreciation for Bhagwan who made his hand. Bhagwan gave you so much of talent. He loves you. So now he starts loving Bhagwan for giving him that talent. His attention is drawn away from his own ego, his own accomplishment, and it is given to the Lord. From that age we have to start. How the Lord blessed you. He loves you so much. And you should be grateful to him. You know, there are many children in the world who do not have hands even. From that age we start teaching. So we draw it away from his own ego. Otherwise you tell him, you are great, you are better than the neighbor's kid. Now look at me. How to motivate teenagers, your own kids, your friends' kids, to come to Chinmaya Mission events. You have to, and this is more and more I'm seeing this in Chinmaya Mission centers across America. Even in Trinidad we have the same thing. We have to provide the things that they are getting in the society outside. Like we have to, you see, when they go to here what they call as summer camps, or things that they have, teenagers have a lot of fun. If we do not start providing those things, we will not be. And please remember also that what they're getting outside in the other type of things, that is all cultural things they're getting, right? Don't be too upset about this. If you have given them the real values, universal values in the earlier age, they will now get some of the cultural values that on the outside. But if you want them, that's what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to share your cultural values with them. If you want them to do that, you will have to provide the things that attract them there. So here, we have to make physical games. I know what we have. I'm seeing now a big divide between the parents who are born in other countries and the children who are born here. With this simple game called as cricket. Now, if you have a cricket game and you call all the children, they will not come. If you have a baseball game and you give them a glove, they will all come, I'm telling. When you make a cricket game, there's some distance there. When you just make a baseball game and see, or football or something, they'll come. So you have to give them the things which they're getting outside. This is for teenagers. Your children will not learn what you teach, they learn what you do. That is, this statement is well known from thousands of years, right? They do not do what you say, they do what you do. So you teach by example. What we struggle is how to identify skills that they will become good in and excel and contribute to society what these skills are. And this is a comment. Yes, it means you have to find out the area of expertise and help them to develop that and make them do it as also sadhana, as their contribution to society. This is a very, very important universal value that we should teach them. That whatever they are doing should be their contribution to society. What we struggle is how to identify these skills that they... Well, in Ramayana, there's a very wonderful example. Bharat is coming with a whole entourage and he's going to meet Bhagwan Shri Ram in the forest. And our forest dwellers, they saw him coming, and they thought, oh, this Bharat is coming, maybe he's going to kill Shri Ram. So one of the old gentlemen in the crowd, he said, okay, you go there, Guha and all his people, go there and offer to Bharat these different types of things. So they carry meat, fish, roots, fruits, bulbs, those different things they carry. And they say, let us see which one Bharat, because they don't know him. Let us see which one Bharat will choose. And from whatever he chooses, we will know what his disposition is like. What his inclination is like. So that will give us a hint to figure out what is going on in his head. So this is a trial and error. You go on observing your child, expose him to different things, and keep observing very closely what he is drawn to, what he likes. That is not such an easy task, because those likes and whims and fancies will keep changing as he... Why you're talking about children? Adults also have the same problem. So you have to keep on asking, tell me, what do you visualize yourself as in the next 15 or 20 years? How do you visualize yourself serving humanity? I keep having to give my own example. See, I completed law school and completed this thing also. So at the end, I had to stop and ask myself, no, do I visualize myself going to the court on a regular basis in 20 years, sitting and defending people, many of whom are liars? Yeah. So do I visualize myself doing that, going to defend people who commit crimes and all sorts of things? Or do I visualize myself teaching scriptures? So you have to try to visualize yourself. And this is a critical question. How am I going to make a positive contribution to society to the maximum? Means, how am I going to make a greater contribution? Very clearly, if I was a lawyer, I don't think I would have made such a greater contribution. So you have to try to ask children that from early ages as well. Do you see yourself in 20 years from now doing this thing or that thing? How would you want to make your contribution to humanity? Ask the child. Humanity needs this and needs that and needs so many things. How are you going to make your contribution? Let's talk about this topic. So you put them, in a friendly discussion. Let's see. See, and you give your own example. I'm serving humanity in this way. I'm an accountant. I love accounting, and through my accounting, so many people get benefit. So ask the child that. Through what you want to see people get benefit? And like I said, you will not be able to do it like in one sitting or anything. You have to keep on doing that. During picnic yesterday we had a picnic. If you were not there, this is what he's referring to. There was a very casual mention of alcohol. Such mention, especially in a community of sadhaks seem a little embarrassing. Can you say something in relation to sadhana and alcohol? Before, I had just gone to a doctor and he was giving me some medicine, some homeopathic doctor. He was giving me some medicine and he said, I know you're a Swami, and I must tell you this bottle of medicine has alcohol. So I'm telling you from before. I said, oh, it has alcohol? Oh my God. Then give me 2 bottles. I was joking with him because he was so taken back, Anyway, so, and this is not why only alcohol, there's drugs, there's so many other things, right? This is the general rule is anything that impairs my intellectual ability, which alcohol does, even if it doesn't do in the short run, it will eventually impair my intellectual ability. The very epitome of human existence is intellectualization. The intellect. That is what distinguishes us from the other species, right? And if there's anything that impairs that, and it need not be alcohol only, so many problems we are facing now in societies, and with our youngsters we are talking about so many problems. Like example, right now in this country, there's a big problem, and also in India, I've come to understand that this is growing in India, pornography. It impairs our intellectual capacity. So they do. Now they come out with all sorts of research and all that. No, Swamiji, 2 drinks a week makes me live longer. I was seeing on the television recently. 2 drinks or something a week, or 2 glasses of wine a week makes me live longer. That you want to live longer with an impaired intellect? Think na. So the goal is living longer, the goal is living as a proper human being. Where even like you see our Guruji, our Gurudev, in his 70s, intellect sharp like a razor. And the people who live this other type of lifestyle, after 50, 60 and all, intellect is going down. That is why you keep, no, Swami, at my age, what I'll study? People say that, you hear the statement? At my age, what I'll study? So all these types of things that actually impair the intellect, with all drugs, alcohol and all the things in the society that we are seeing, they impair the intellect. What happens? When it reaches a certain age, it becomes dull, lethargic, it becomes incapable. And that is the time when I'm supposed to be so sharp, I'm able to sit only and meditate on God. So people don't see the effects in the short run, they see the effects in the long run, negative effects. How does nature versus nurture play a role? Well, I gave the answer to that, and I said the child's inner nature will come out whether we like it or not. You are supposed to provide to the child the food, clothing and shelter for the children, that the nature will come out. Anyway, I think now they are coming out, their parents will just hang on for 1 minute or 2.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for your wonderful insights on parenting. And I'm sorry to tell you something for all of us to reflect on. I'm a little far gone, I'm a grandparent, as you know, but still, I think I pass it on to my children, so somebody will benefit. Swami Prakashananda, as some of you know, and many of you might not know, is Acharya of Chinmaya Mission Trinidad. He comes and he's with us, and his inspired presence is a blessing to all of us. He will be here again next year. We made that, he's made that promise. Please do not miss his wonderful pravachans. They've been so enlightening, and I'll tell you, they only help us to grow. The more we reflect on what he has taught us, we will grow with that teaching. So words are not enough to describe how grateful we feel, Swamiji, and thank you very much for coming and being in our presence. For the first time we stayed in the ashram, it was a little difficult for me because we've always had him in our house. But I'll tell you,